old news here. And I've been thinking for a while about this Oregon State, Washington State kind of mess they're in. The Pac 2 versus the Pac 10, the leaving 10, the abandoning 10. And there's a lot of bullshit that's been thrown about. And I'm going to go through this Ross Dillinger article a little bit. And I know, a lot of people have already went through it. Coos went through it. Coos' Corner. Greg Flugar, Peek Around the Corner, went through it. Everybody's already talked about it. However, I am not as forgiving as some. And I think Ross Dillinger is kind of being a mouthpiece for Greg Sankey a little bit in that article. And let's just say I don't believe everything I read. All right. I'm kind of an ass when it comes to that kind of thing. So, since I don't trust the media, I'm going to go through that article a little bit, little pieces of it, and see where I fall on this shit. All right, like I said, I'm not going to go through the whole damn thing. Everyone has already went through the whole damn article. I'm just going to highlight some things and talk about things that I think is bullshit. And I'm going to start here. CFP decision makers, the conference commissioners, and their corresponding league presidents have yet to make such a change or even deeply discuss it. And of course, this was about, going to a 5-7 model from a 6-6 and all that boring crap. Now it says have yet to deeply discuss it. That's from Ross Dillinger. They are practicing patience and remaining respectful of Washington State and Oregon State situation, SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey told Yahoo Sports. We'll get to it, Sankey said, and there will be a difference of opinions. Here's the thing. Everyone kind of skipped over that. So, Greg Sankey was talking to Yahoo Sports or Ross Dillinger. So this is where he's getting his information from, the great and powerful Greg Sankey. Number one, they have yet to make such a change or even deeply discuss it. That's bullshit. It's been reported already that for next year, the 6-6 is going to be next year. Why? Because Mike Oresco is saying F you. And I'm sure he's the one that's getting all the press. I'm sure that the Mountain West commissioners, or the Mountain West commissioner and the commissioner of all the other conferences in the CFB, the group of 5 guys, are all saying, screw you. That's what I believe. Let's keep going here just a little bit more. Changing the format immediately, starting with next year's CFP, requires a unanimous vote among the 11 members of the CFP governing board, a group that still includes a representative of the Pac-12. Therefore, it's not changing, people. Another hurdle to whatever the hell, everyone being together, unanimity. See, I can't talk. I can't do that word. Another hurdle to everybody being on the same page is the American Athletic Conference, or the American Conference Commissioner Mike Oresco, who has spoken publicly against changing the model immediately, instead wanting to keep the current 6-6 format for the final 2 years of the contract, the 24 and 25 playoffs. So everyone's speculating, this is going to change. Well, if Mike Oresco doesn't want it to change in the next 2 years, it will not. Now, he could use his vote to make sure and to secure access for him. But what does that mean? We'll get to some of that a little bit later. But also, the Pac-2 still have a vote, and they're going to vote no on that as well. Now, everyone being together on this crap is not required for changes starting in 2026. Well, we don't know that. We don't know that. But here's and I'm going to get to more of that in a minute. I got a big old bitch and gripe about some of this stuff. In fact, the CFP's existence expands just 3 more editions. There is no binding agreement after the 25 football season for both a playoff format and a television contract. Well, there will be one because there's too much damn money. And over the next 2 years, once everybody gets a taste of that new 12-team playoff money, trust me, there will be a 2026 deal done quickly. Washington State and Oregon State administrators have been in communication with those from the CFP about playoff access and revenue distribution. We want fair consideration under a Power 5 umbrella, Oregon State Athletic Director Scott Barnes told Yahoo Sports. We want access, and distribution is important. That's money. We didn't put ourselves in this position. We'll continue to invest at a Power 5 level. We have an expectation that we'll be able to discuss what access and distribution look like while creating our path forward. In other words, people that have a guy like Immaculate, for instance, he made the rounds talking about, hey, the Pac-2 could get $300 million, in the under the new model, new CFP model with 12 teams. And then immediately he got shut down, called a conspiracy theorist and everything else. However, Athletic Director Scott Barnes of Oregon State, what is he saying here? We want fair consideration under a Power 5 umbrella. Because they got a 2-year window with the NCAA to retain being the Pac 12, the Pac 2, the Pac whatever. All right. They're given a 2-year kind of leeway to get to 8 teams. So right now they're still considered a Power 5 conference. And they want that consideration with the playoff committee. We want access. What does that mean? They want access. They want their automatic qualifier. That's what they want. Not 5 and 7, 6 and 6. And distribution is important. Money. All right, they want their share. They want the share the Pac was originally going to get if no teams had left. Now, Greg Sankey, and a lot of this article is coming out of his ass. That's part of the problem I have with it. The big kicker here, in a message presumably meant for conference commissioners whose leagues have swelled with the addition of the existing Pac-12 schools, Barnes added, "We didn't cause this. Those that did need to help us with the solution." I think that's about enough. I think I've read enough there. What does that mean? Help us with the solution. Because, Immaculate's right. They've kind of put a monkey wrench in the gears of the CFP trying to get something done for 2026, but also all the distribution for 24 and 25. Because ESPN is paying it out. They don't give a damn how it gets distributed. This is the amount of money they're going to put in for the CFP. And they're going to pay a percentage for that CFP of what they get off the advertising dollars, which is estimated to be roughly around $300 million per conference, at least on the Power 5 conference level. And Mr. Barnes there said that, look, we didn't cause this shit, but we're the only 2 teams left in the Pac. We want our access and we want our cut of the money. That's what he's saying. He wants his $300 million. Now, does Greg Sankey and especially the other members of the Power 4 conferences, do they want to distribute that money like that? No. Do they want to see them as just independents and pay them as independent? Yeah, they would like that. But not so fast, Oregon State is saying. And Washington State's probably right there in lockstep with them. They're the 2 in the shithole. Well, you're going to have to work with them. Because Micah Resco is not going to work with you. Chances are the Mountain West commissioner also is not going to work with you. She's going to get their back because she wants those 2 teams in her conference. Whether they stay the Mountain West or do a merger and everyone falls under the PAC umbrella, however that works. But their future is going to be with the Mountain West. I used to think, I think there's still an outside shot with the Big 12, maybe work something out. I don't know that because I don't know that the NCAA is going to continue to give them autonomous status once the Mountain West becomes the new PAC with Oregon State and Washington State. Don't know if that'll happen. Don't know if that'll happen. Could, but I don't know. Now, the stuff there from Ross Dillinger when he was talking about, well, you don't need everyone to agree in 2026. Oh, that's a shot, isn't it? It is a shot. Because what he's saying, and basically what Greg Sankey is saying, we don't have to include your conference. We can include who we want to include. Us in the Big Ten. We don't need the rest of you sons of bitches, is essentially what he's saying. So you better do it our way or we'll just go do our own thing. That's going to be the threat. That's going to be the leverage that Greg Sankey and Mr. Petiti have when it comes to CFP payouts and how things work later on. I'm here to tell you right now they don't have that. That is bullshit. Everyone's been talking about that leverage. Everyone's been talking about, all the mainstream media, sports media has been talking about that. Oh, the Big Ten and the SEC, they're going to go do their own thing. They'll have their own college football playoff. They're going to cut everybody else out. No, that ain't happening. Oh, how can you be so sure? They're the most powerful conferences out there. Well, let's say they do that. Let's say they cut out the ACC. They cut out the Big 12. They cut out whatever the PAC is, all the other group of 5 conferences. Okay. What is everyone else's recourse at that point? Because the CFP, that's only about football. There's a lot more sports than football. See, what I would do if I was everybody else, the rest of the group of 5s, the left out Power 2, 3 conferences, what I would do is shut their ass out on everything else. All right, NCAA tournament? No. No tournament for you, for the Big Ten and the SEC. Oh, how can they do that? How can they? Oh, I'm sorry. You don't think the NCAA is going to side with everybody else if those 2 assholes decide to go and do their own football tournament, their own football playoff, and split that money and cut everybody else out? Let's just forget about the legal ramifications and all the lawsuits that'll be flying at them at 100,000 miles an hour from every direction. Let's forget about that for 2 seconds. What could you do if you're the rest of the conferences and everyone's adhering to all the NCAA BS that's been out there for forever? For once, the NCAA could work in your favor. See, you go to the NCAA, like, hey, they're doing their own thing in football, which pays for everything else, which is screwing everybody else. All right. If they're not going to participate with everyone else in the college football playoff, and they're going to do their own thing, cut them out of the NCAA tournament, cut them out of the College World Series, cut them out of all national competitions that fall under the NCAA banner. In other words, whatever wrestling, whatever Olympic sports, because here's the bitch of it. Whatever Olympic sports that are being played in the Big Ten and the SEC. Now your athletes don't have any kind of pathway to get into the nationals. And the nationals provide you a pathway into the worlds, like whether it's gymnastics, track and field, wrestling, all of the Olympic stuff. And the worlds, that's how you get in. When you go to the World Championships, that's how you get into the Olympics. So all the greatest Olympic sports athletes out there, are they going to go to those conferences where they can't get into nationals? Absolutely not. If you're a 5-star basketball recruit and you can't get into the NCAA tournament, playing for Alabama or Penn State or any of the other schools out there? Are you going to go to one of those programs? Absolutely not. So you see, you may be able to screw us on the football, but we can destroy every other sport you have. We just decimate your athletic programs. I mean, if y'all look, if Greg Sankey thinks he can rule the world, think again. The world's going to screw you in the ass. Don't think that all these other lower conferences, these scum sucking tier 2 and tier 3 and tier conferences, don't have recourse. They absolutely do. It's called boycott. Boycotting the Big Ten and the SEC. You don't play any of them in anything. They don't have a non-conference anymore. Their non-conference is Big Ten games if you're the SEC. And if you're the Big Ten, your non-conference is SEC teams. You don't get to play anybody else. Not in anything. Not in football, basketball, baseball, badminton, wrestling, track and field, nothing. Rowing, skydiving, bungee cord. I don't give a damn what it is. You cut them out of everything. You cut them out of everything. Maybe that'll change your mind after a while, after you realize, hey, we can't get recruits in our Olympic sports anymore. Not the top ones. We can't get them. With no access to the College World Series, we can't get top shelf baseball players here anymore. You know, all the recruiting, all the scouting, Major League Scouting is going on in all the other conferences now because they can get to the damn World Series. So we'll see if that changes their mind a little bit. So you see what I'm saying? Yeah, are they the two big conferences? Are they the two with all the, power in the room? No. Do they have the most stroke? Yeah, they got the biggest voices and they sit in the biggest chairs. But they don't control everything. When everyone else joins up and says, fuck you, guess what happens? You just get fucked. And there ain't nothing you can do about it. If you want to leave the NCAA, go ahead. You want to do your own playoff, go ahead. Like I said, there's legal recourse and there's boycott. So, is that talked about in the little article? Is anyone talking about, hey, what do these other conferences do? Does any of the mainstream media, does Ross Dillinger, does any of them, John Wilner, any of them talk about what all the other conferences can do to the Big Ten and the SEC if they decide to be jerk-offs and go do their own thing or try to do their own thing? Because it absolutely can happen, and I damn well guarantee you it would. No one wants to get screwed over. And look, by the way, don't think that just Greg Sankey can wave a magic wand and now Oregon State and Washington State can be seen as independent schools when they're not independent. They are still in a Power 5 conference. And you're probably going to need Mike Oresco. You think the PAC is going to vote for that? I know it'd be tempting to get more money if you're the Big 12 or anyone else, but to me, if you're the Big 12, why would you vote for that? Just get a little more money right now? Because that's the same thing that can happen to you later on. If they can just, we're just not going to pay you like we're supposed to pay you. Look, I'm not saying they're going to get to $300 million or, however much it's going to be per Power 4, Power 5 conference starting in 2024. I'm not saying the PAC's going to get all that. But like Mr. Barnes said, these other commissioners out there, I know it's not Greg Sankey that took any of his teams, but Tony Petitti did, Kevin Warren did, Mr. Phillips did, and yes, the Big 12 did as well. So we got to help them figure their shit out. That's what he's saying. And look, he's got an incredible card to play. Some big leverage. All this talk about, well, they don't have time. Bullshit. Ross Dillinger just said they have time. Why? For 2 years, they could play as a 2-team conference. For 2 years, they could play Mountain West schools. They could. Well, what are you going to schedule? They'll get it scheduled. They'll get a schedule. Don't worry about that. They'll be playing teams. They'll be playing football next year in the Pac-2. And look, if you're not pulling for Oregon State and Washington State, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you're doing, especially if you're a Big 12 fan. Let me tell you something. Anything to stop the Sankeys and the Petitis of the world from screwing our conference next. Well, because Sankey done in the dark of night snatched our 2 biggest schools. He's going to come in and do the same thing to the ACC. Look, you better pull for them too. All right? Because some of that kind of crap's happened to us. And trust me, those 2 conferences, I mean, just look at the greed that's going on. Look what Michigan is doing. A rich, filthy rich school with all the advantages, with all the opportunities. Nobody in college football has more advantages than Michigan. They're right up there with the bluest of the blue bloods. And yet they need to cheat. Ain't that some shit? Oregon and Washington trying to do everything they can to screw Oregon State and Washington State out of what? The money that's left in the pack. When they're going to the Big Ten, I know they're going for with a discount right now. They will be full members. They'll be making ass tons of money. And they already make ass tons of money off the field anyway. And when they go into the Big Ten, they're going to get their cut of the CFP. Sure, they're only going to make 30 whatever million on the media rights deal for however many years, but they're going to get their cut of the CFP. They're going to get their cut of the NCAA tournament money. They're going to be doing just fine, making a hell of a lot more money than Oregon State or Washington State. The 4 coming here to the Big 12. I mean, last summer, the payouts were around $50 million a team. And now you're adding Arizona, who pumps out units in the NCAA tournament every year. You're adding Colorado, who gets Boffo ratings, and that thing's going to be humming and doing well. Utah, who 2-time Pac-12 champion, and they're going to have an excellent chance to make a 12-team playoff next year. Both those schools will. So they'll be getting payouts in the Big 12. They'll be doing just fine, making plenty of money, a lot more than Oregon State or Washington State will. But look at the greed. All right? So don't think, oh, the SEC, they feel they have enough. Or Big Ten, they feel they have. No, it's never enough until they have it all. You got to have some stop gaps at some point. You got to grow some balls at some point. And when you see those 2 schools, you got to say, look, let's back them up. Let's find a way to make this happen. All right. Does Colorado really need that money? No, they don't. Oregon and Washington sure as hell don't need it. So yeah, it's everyone. It should be everybody's responsibility to help those 2 schools figure it out. And you start with getting those other schools the hell out of the way. And if they don't want to get out of the way, support Oregon State and Washington State fighting them to the max. If it takes freaking years, fight, and still fight. Because what's left of the pack belongs to those 2 schools and only those 2 schools. Everybody else wants to leave? Leave. Fuck off. I'm not saying Ross Dillinger isn't a good writer, isn't a decent reporter, but he's definitely regurgitating a hell of a lot of Greg Sankey BS. All right, who thinks he thinks he's a damn imperial wizard of everything. He thinks he's Emperor Palpatine, you know, and we're all just here serving him in the dark side of the Force. Well, we're not. Okay? We're not. Go do your own SEC thing. Screw off. Anyway, that's all I got on this crap, and I'll be back with some more crap later. Bye.